I didn't just show up to Artfight, I showed out. 20 attacks, one beautifully messy revenge chain, and more late night sketching than sleep. This is how I found my spark again through the chaos of creativity and connection. Let's talk about every piece, every risk, and every little triumph I had during my first Artfight. Woo! Let's go! Oh wait, I almost got carried away. Wouldn't be a Mighty Moconaut video without the proper introduction, so welcome Space Cadets. Let's get started. This was my first year participating in Artfight, as I've mentioned before, and I went into it with no idea what I was doing, but with way too much love for other people's OCs. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have participated this year if it wasn't for my friend Itsy Bitsy, who was also participating, who was like, hey yo, this would be a cool way to get your characters out there, my boy, how about you just check it out real quick? And caving in, I agreed, and also, I've never participated before, so, why not? Between comic stuff, my own self-inflicted deadlines, burnout, and YouTube, this ended up being the spark I needed to get back to art and really feel like I belonged in the art community. Now for those who have no idea what Artfight is, let me break it down for you. Artfight is an annual month-long art game where artists are split up into two teams and attack each other by drawing each other's original characters, or if you're in the art community and know what that means for the abbreviation, OCs. You earn points for your team every time you create an artwork for someone else's character, and other players can defend by drawing yours in return. It's all about creativity, community, and celebrating original characters. No winners, just a fun, collaborative battle of art.
F-Team Fossils! Boo!
I ended up with doing 20 attacks total, made some amazing mutuals, and even got caught in a revenge chain with a demon woman. I'm looking at you, Itsy. That's why I won. Alrighty, so you've seen the numbers, you've seen the potential chaos, but now let's slow it down and actually look at these pieces. Some of them were over in a flash, just quick bursts of inspiration where I knew exactly what I was doing, and some of them I had to fight tooth and nail. These pieces taught me something. I had to dig into my soul and figure out who I was deep down inside. And a few lit such a fire underneath me that I was ready to go on to the next attack immediately, right then. I just wanted to start another attack. And then there's the ones that were just perfect. They just came together perfectly. My babies. The ones I'll be staring at a month from now and be like, yeah, yeah, I made that. Mama did that. So, without further ado, let's break it down. No, not like that. Stop dancing. For the first category, we have the quick and dirty. Fast attacks I knocked out pretty quickly, fun OCs or styles that I really liked and just wanted to get done immediately because they were so good. And, the ones that didn't take nearly as much time because they were either smaller or, in a different style that I don't usually do, so they were just easier to output. If you were in this category, this does not mean that I did not love drawing your OC and didn't take my time, but I take too much time when I draw, so this is either an hour or two less off of my 7 to 6 hour process. Starting off this category strong, we've got an OC by the user Quinn Delightful on Artfight. I'll put up their other socials on the screen here as well, but from what it looks like on their Artfight account, they're on Tumblr, Instagram, and Toy House underneath the same name, so you should go check them out. I totally recommend giving them a follow and, checking out their art as well. Alright, so this is their OC Willow, a bright and... Why are you barking? Why are there always dogs barking? I'm pretty sure y'all didn't hear that. But why do the dogs start barking when I start recording? Alright, so this is their OC Willow. She lives in a air kingdom, and it's within a land known as Akash. She's super, unassuming and, calm from outside perspective, but deep down she likes pranking people. And I think that's a really cute, vibe for an air user. It's kind of a cute little callback to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know if that's intentional, Quinn, but it just gives Monkey Atsu, and I love that so much. But yeah, I picked this OC of theirs because I really liked the colors that they chose. I think that the shade of green really works well with the story that they're trying to tell of air and nature, and it blends really well with Willow's skin tone and the gold accents as well. The process for this one was pretty straightforward. I saw her design and immediately thought she looked adorable, and she would look even more adorable as a chibi. And well, I got to work. I will say though, I absolutely love how her eye turned out. I kind of wish I would have drawn both of them open just so I could have rendered it twice because like, OMG, I love how it looks. It's so darn cute. I picked this character specifically out of Quinn's myriad of characters because I really loved her colors and design. The flowy and modest clothes for a wind user is just a perfect design choice, and I had so much fun overall drawing their OC Willow. Alright, here is the finished piece. I think it's cute. Like I mentioned before, I really adore the eye I drew, especially, and I love the pose so much. Alrighty, on to the next. Alright, so big shift in characters. This is Levi, an OC by the user Only TJ7. I don't know if you're supposed to like make that sound swagalicious like when you say it, but I'm gonna say it how it's read, so it's Only TJ7. But if you wind up to see this video, my boy, please correct me if I'm saying that wrong. But yeah, this is their account. I'll show what they've got going on here, and their other socials. I'll put those up on the screen as well. Now, Levi is a 6'1", 215-pound man in his early 20s. He can copy abilities, store energy, and is one of the most skilled soldiers in his unit. Raised in a facility that kidnapped orphans and turned them into weapons, Levi becomes the perfect operative. His only bond was with another OC of theirs named Eartha, but when she left, calling the order corrupt, he was left alone. Now he's a soldier without a purpose, trying to keep his sanity in a system that never valued him. First of all, love this guy's backstory. Second of all, him and Demi would be good friends. But yeah, I picked this OC because, well, look at bro, he's stacked. Also because I really wanted to try my hand at drawing vitiligo again, because I haven't done that in such a long time, and one of my other OCs actually has vitiligo, and I haven't drawn him in like literally ages, so I was, kind of like itching, kind of like fiending for, like, gotta draw the pretty blotches. Ah. Alright, so trying to find a pose that suited this character was a bit tough for me in the beginning, but I really just loved how he seemed to be into fitness, so I wanted to show off his trained muscles. Also, I really love drawing muscular men. I learned how to draw abs in like middle school and I never looked back. Anyway, the whole line art process was as it usually goes for me. Sketch first, then line art. But for the vitiligo portions of his skin, I wanted to really make them as intentional as they seemed from his character design, because I admire how intentional the placement is. Like, it gives like a person with vitiligo, and that just like pleased me very much. So yeah, I wanted to honor that. What I loved most about drawing this actually wasn't the vitiligo itself, but the way that I drew the face. I really like the way I drew the face for some reason, and I think it's because it took me back to 2020 and how I used to draw faces then, and it like kind of healed an insecurity of mine that I had at the time, that my art wasn't good, but the insecurity wasn't really about like my style, it was more so about my skill at the time. So it just like, it healed that inside of me. I was like, wait, it's giving 2020, but like anatomically correct. Come on now, girl. Oh, and the lettering. I used a lot of new ideas and new techniques during Artfight, and honestly, I will be definitely bringing those into my everyday art, but the lettering, I really loved how that turned out. Anyway, here you go. Here's Levi, an epic soldier straight out of training. Now, this next OC is one by the user Goldie... Stop me if I'm wrong. Goldie Fishing? Like, what? But also, cool name. But yeah, this is their OC Rumi, and now I know someone's gonna come for me. I know it's animated. And this is crazy for me personally. This is crazy for me even doing this, because I know myself. I take forever to animate. Animation is already such a long process, but add together perfectionism, constant pressure of, am I going to finish this? And the original quota that I had for Artfight, 30 attacks. You get an anxious, idiotic animator. Me. I'm that idiotic animator. It was me. But I did it because I absolutely adore this character design, and I really wanted to challenge myself here. Rumi's design was enough for me to play with and replicate, so I locked in and I got to work. I think the worst part about this animation process was the fact that I was also watching Captain America at the time, so I kept getting distracted, but overall, I do really like how this turned out. I do wish, however, I had taken more time rendering it though. I don't hate how it's shaded, but rendering it would have been so pretty, and it would have taken me like 6 extra days, but I think that would have been worth it. But yeah, from like the color choices of this character down to like just the shape language and the hair, from like the larger top and the smaller bottom, I just really love the way this character design is like, it speaks to me. It's really, 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 really nice, and it's really cute. So I wanted to kind of give like a vibe for the animation of like, you know, kind of like looking up from doing something else, you know. I don't know what I was doing, but I like how it turned out. It's like, it's cute for like a little emote, or like, you know, like a profile picture, like an animated GIF profile picture. But yeah, here's Rumi. I love her design in the green and pink combo. Goldie is just really amazing with color choices in general. Like, I'll show you some of their pieces. There are other characters that are on Artfight as well, and you should definitely check out their art on all platforms. This is Mulchi. I love Mulchi. Touch Mulchi and I'll touch you. Mulchi is a character created by the user That Kirby Nerd, and let me tell you something. I love Mulchi's design. I would play a game with Mulchi as a protagonist. Honestly, just in vibe alone, Mulchi really reminds me of Nabiu? Nabiu? Is that how you say her name? Nabiu from the Fruitless Quest of Nabiu. I absolutely adore her. I just had to draw her. She's just adorable to me. I love like the kind of like, it's giving like Toby Fox character design vibes. Like, it's just really like squished, short, and cute. But yeah, I actually drew her on a car ride to the Goodwill with my mom, and everything came together just right, because as we were pulling up, I added the last texture detail and posted the attack, and it just like everything was seamless after that.
That Kirby Nerd. I am Mulchi's fandom. I need Mulchi merch. Period.
This is Vivian, an OC by the user Mudtart, I believe that's how you pronounce their name. Yeah, everything's up here, so you can go check them out if you really want to. If you'd like to, I suggest you do. Their art's really cool, and they have really awesome OCs. And I picked Vivian because I really wanted to draw hoops that day. I think that's it. I think that's about it. But also, I picked Vivian to draw at that time because I wanted to draw hoops that day, but they were already on my hit list. I thought that she was really cute. I loved her character design, and like the texture of her hair, and the way that Mudtart drew her hair was just so like scrumptious, and I wanted to replicate that. But my style leans very much more into line art, so this was really difficult for me, like mentally. I was like, let me line it, and I was like, no, you're going to not line this piece. You're not going to line this, like the hair at least. You're not going to line the hair. You wanted to give voluminous and floofy without lines, and I just could not do it. I was like, no, please. I don't know if you'll see it, but you can like watch me struggle. Like, I really want to put a line down, but I have to use like bigger shapes and add like, you know, textured brushes to give like the illusion that there's like some like line weight there. But dude, this was so difficult. I spent exactly, dude, my friend just said that it looked like I was struggling. But yeah, I felt like I was struggling because look, I didn't even want to start the hair. I spent most of the time rendering like her skin and everything, and that's usually with the last thing I would do. I would usually like render skin lastly, especially on a piece that I'm really excited about because I like rendering. Rendering's the last thing I do. But I didn't even like, look, I just started the hair. I just now started doing the hair. Come on, you can't tell me that I was not struggling here. But I do like how it turned out. I really, really like how it turned out. For a lot of my attacks, I wound up changing my style a little bit, but for the ones that I didn't change my style, it's just because I felt comfortable, you know, like drawing the character true to form, but also in my style. So I really like how this turned out, especially like the hair. I'm really proud of the hair and the eyelashes, dude. Like, yeah, this was probably one of my favorites of this category, and it was my second attack that I did, so I was feeling pretty confident, and I did it in like 30 minutes, and I think that was, you know, pretty cool on my part. But yeah, here's Viv. Now, this is Sam by the user Reese's. Whoa, Mocha. Whoa, Mocha. Whoa. Wow. This is Sam by the user Reese's Wacky World, and Sam's design captured my attention for one big reason. I love clowns. I love clowns. Love clowns down. I'm down to clown every time going around in the party when I scoop around in the corner off the bound. Oh. But yeah, I love the colors of clowns. You know, the history of clowns is depressing. It's a depressing tale, but the aesthetic the aesthetic is where I am, drawn to. The colors, I love clown colors. I could get into the whole history of clowns and why the aesthetic is so ironic, but this is an Artfight recap, so let's move on. This was a challenge because I was working on 2 hours of sleep, and this was like my 4th attack of the night, and I was like really drowsy. But I knew I wanted to get this done and post it for Reese to see in the morning because I love knowing that people wake up to attacks, especially people who I know I've seen on their pages. Nobody's attacking them and they have awesome OCs and they have like awesome characters, but like no one's attacking them. Like, hello. So I wanted to just, like be a little bit of like a holy, like, here you go. My hard work, like while I'm sweating. have this drawing I did of your OC. It just warms my heart. And Sam was going to get finished. And that they did. While drawing this attack, I kept thinking about the story that Sam might have, like gone to a concert or something with some friends, and this is the picture that they were taking, and while like Sam's enjoying the music, they turn around and they're like, oh, let me pose real quick. But yeah, the colors for this one were mostly treated like an overlay because of the story that I mentioned, and I wanted to capture all of the classic clowny colors and give them a purpose. So that's why, it's kind of like an overlay, and that's how we got this cool kind of Vulcan light overlay vibe, and, It turned out pretty cool. I think it turned out pretty cool. It's not like my most tastiest like rendering moment, but I really do love the colors, and the colors sell the story, so it's enough for me, babes. You wanna come for me? You wanna come for me, okay? Then you better come correct! I don't know why I just got so aggressive. I'm so sorry. All right, here's Sam, our last entry to the quick and dirty category. Let's see what's next. This next OC comes from the user Ethereus. Now, this isn't the video for this. I will be going over the people who I attacked and who attacked me back in another video. But Ethereus' art is so good. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that skin. Look at the texture in the skin. Look at the rendering. Look at the shape language. Look at the anatomy on these faces. You cannot tell me that this person is not talented. And their character designs are delicious, are just so scrumptious. I had to draw someone from their repertoire. So I picked Fiore, and she's adorable. And here's some information about her. I'll put it up on the screen. Coming into this piece, I knew one thing. I was excited to draw a cowboy hat. And to texture these green dreads, like, you can't tell me this character design does not eat down. I love her, and I want to see something where she's in it, like a comic or an animation or something. She's just so cute. I love her vibe. She's giving like a strawberry shortcake character, but like in the most respectful way possible. Like, I love the way that everything works together. The like breaking up of the stronger colors with that more pale blue, down to the shoes being like also like a callback to the top. Like, it's just everything works so well, and I really appreciate character designs like this. And I just had to draw her, okay? I had to draw her. So let's talk about the process real quick. So I started with my sketch, and I was thinking like, so what are we going for? Are we going for like a headshot? Are we going for like a full piece? Like, what's going on here? But I knew, past tense, I knew I wanted to pay attention to rendering this because I wanted to somehow replicate the way Ethereus renders. I knew I was never going to reach that. I didn't want to touch that. But I gave myself the benefit of the doubt, and I tried to at least give myself like, some leeway. I was like, you can still use your rendering techniques, okay? You do not have to exactly be this person. But God, I wish I could render like that. It's so delicious. But yeah, I kind of like underpainted. I did like some like pinks underneath the skin. Well, like it'll get to that point where I'm like showing off the underpainting. And then I like put the layer on overlay, which kind of gave it like a pinkier, like, like sun-kissed look. And seeing as like she's like, on horses and, ride in the wild, wild west, I really wanted to like give that like the texture in her skin. So this is what we got. Now the hair was like really one of those moments where I was like, so how am I gonna do this and make this look really pretty? I was on the phone with Itzy at the time, and she was just, doing her regular commentary. A menace to society, that woman is. But she kept saying, give her weave back. And I was like, do you want to get destroyed? Because I always like to focus on one piece. I'll turn off another layer. And the hair was split up into 2 or 3 layers, I think. And I was like, okay, so in order to focus on the bottom piece of the hair, I'm going to only focus on the bottom piece of the hair by turning everything else off. And she was like, why is she bald? And I was like, Itzy, shut up before I eat you. But yeah, I knew I wanted to add texture by not only putting like, the darker, lines within the line art, but also going over top with a lighter color, which creates the illusion that there's like fraying pieces that kind of come off when you have dreads. My brother has dreads, my cousin has dreads, and I've known people all my life who have had dreads, and I just like study them because I love drawing dreads. And I haven't drawn dreads in this style specifically in a really long time, but I kind of wanted to give it that vibe that it was, like aged and, lived. You know what I'm talking about? I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, like the look that the hair has been hairing for a long time. So yeah, the rendering job starts looking a little scary. It starts off a little scary, okay? It's a little dark, but I brighten it up near the end, and everything really just comes together to a final piece. And I'm super duper proud of how that shadow cast by the hat looks on her face. Everything just like ate down, okay? And adding the freckles was that last little piece of, oh yeah, I did that. This character, I did that. I drew her. Let's move on. Okay, so this piece included 2 characters. Mine does not count. I didn't put my rat fursona. I didn't put my rat character as like a quote unquote a playable character in Artfight. So this is just a 2 character piece by rules of Artfight. But this idea came from the fact that I really wanted to draw Sonas. And I thought that including a bunch of mice / rats in one piece was just comedy gold. I was dying laughing while I was drawing this entire thing. I really thought that this was super funny. But the 2 characters that I'm drawing are both Sonas, rat Sonas, for 2 different Artfight participants, known as Scatterbrainiac and my boy, the king, the legend, Clown Rat King. This isn't all you're going to see of Clown Rat King on, this video, because I also attacked another one of their OCs who I am absolutely enamored with. I love their design. But right now we're talking about the rats, okay? This piece was just literally for fun. There was no brain cells behind this, but I did use a few techniques that I will probably be implementing into my art later on, and that is like this cutout thing that I've done. So I would draw a scene behind. As you can see, there's the ugly, terribly drawn houses, and I would kind of like create a foreground to where it looked like it was, further in the back. I know that's a really simple technique, but I don't draw backgrounds, and this was like an easier way to give depth. And I really liked the way it turned out because it was more like gritty, and it kind of matched the vibe of like a bunch of mice sitting on a couch in a house where all of the homes are identical. It was just funny to me. And I didn't use brain cells while drawing this. I didn't really focus too much on like the final piece. I was more trying to go for a vibe and focusing more so on the characters themselves. Properly portraying Scatterbrainiac's Sona was so difficult because it has such a distinct shape. And I was super proud when I got that. Like, I was like, swoop, whoop, with the nose and the eyes and everything. I was like, hold on, Mocha, you might have cooked here. I think you really ate down. And then there was Clown Rat King's little rat Sona, who's adorable, by the way. Love them. So cutesy. And then mine. I just really like the way mine turned out because I used all of my normal colors, and a little brown rat is like actually so funny to me. But yeah, I wanted to put some pictures on the wall, and what better way to show off my cool, awesome attacks that I'd already done on this attack by putting them as photos in the background in my little rat house. Don't come for me, but I think that this is one of like the cutest things I've drawn in a really long time. So here we are. I really, really hope that the rats involved enjoyed being in my little rat house. This character comes from the user Very Cool on Artfight. Saw her, loved her, drew her. Thank you very much. She's giving like space 90s. Space 70s to space 90s. It's a vibe, and I absolutely am fully dedicated to that hair. Love, love, love her hair. I love the swoops and curls and everything. I really, really like her design for some reason. I think it's because she reminds me of Leela from Futurama. Hot ship captain. And I love that aesthetic. It's an aesthetic, and I love that aesthetic. I love how the colors that they chose for this character are really representative of the character's like personality and everything. Like the orange and the yellows are like really bright, and from what I've read, like what I've seen about her in the About Me little area, is that really suits like who she is as a person. I can just like really appreciate the story that's being told, because a lot of the OCs on Artfight, like I've seen a few of them have like really like super detailed like areas that nobody's gonna really read, but I always took my time to read up on the character because it gave me an idea for like how I was going to draw them. And I know other people do that too, but I've seen some people like in like Reddits and stuff complain like, why are you putting all this information on here, like nobody cares? I'm like, oh, you're a hater. Go back to Haterville, go back to Hatertown with your haterade. Get out of here. Let this person get their OC drawn and also get their OC seen. You're salty that nobody wants to draw your OC. How about that? But yeah, for the vibe of this piece, I was really just going for something casual. I just wanted to show off like a full body, whole vibe, like with the little crown halo thing and everything, the long ears. Like I just wanted you to see every facet of her character design because I loved it so much. It was really giving like comic or animated series. And that's kind of the vibe I was going for when I was like picking which characters I wanted to attack. This person was already on my hit list. A lot of the characters I attacked were just like, it's like literally just my hit list, and then people who attacked me first, and I had to attack them back. But yeah, the vibe I was going for this art fight was people who I knew probably weren't going to get that many attacks, and I'd seen that they weren't getting attacks at all, and then also people whose characters look like they could be in TV and movies and stuff, like just like really like solid character designs. All right, we got Brian. This Brian. She a baddie. Let's move on. This next attack is actually my final attack and the end of a revenge chain that I won proudly. Also, it wasn't intentional that I won. I was kind of already working on this piece, and then Itzy was like, here, girl, like, this is the attack I did on you. I'm gonna go to work now. And I kind of felt so bad because I was like, oh, I'm about to attack her while she's at work. I'm about to blitzkrieg her. This is not going to be good. The way she crashed out on me. But let me tell y'all a story first. Let me tell y'all a story first. So, it's like kind of the middle beginning-ish area of Artfight. And Itzy is getting attack after attack after attack after attack. She's being like massacred in the streets and everyone's watching. And I'm like over here chilling with my like 2 attacks. I'm very happy with my life. I'm like, yeah, I ain't gotta revenge nobody because everyone who's attacked me, I already attacked. So I'm chilling, I'm feeling, I'm cool. I'm talking to her on the phone, right? And we're like, and she's like, and we're just having a conversation, right? We're chilling. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of an absolute battle for my sanity. I'm working on her attack while she has like a billion other attacks to catch up on because she wanted to revenge everyone this year. And I thought that was sweet. I thought that was cool because she had a hit list already, and I don't even think she got to the majority of the people on her hit list. And I feel bad for her because she really wanted to, and she was not expecting to get attacked like as much this year. So it's both of our first year actually. Let me start there. It's our first year in participating in Artfight, and we're like excited. We're like so happy, and the first day hits and she's like, doom attack, doom attack, doom attack. And she's like, where are these coming from? And, you know, I'm chilling over here, back to the original story. I'm chilling over here, have no attacks. Or I have like 2, I think, at the time. And I'm really chilling. I'm very happy. And I'm like, I'm going to attack Itzy too because I love her and I want to draw her and her OCs. And she knew this. She knew because I was sending her progress photos. I was like, look, girl, I'm about to attack you. Tell me why this woman with grave hatred in her heart, attacked me first with this myriad of attacks that she had to get to. She took the time out of her day to attack me first. When in my blood, in my veins, I knew, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get the attack out first, and I'm gonna start the revenge chain. Ha ha ha. No. I did not start the revenge chain, but best to believe, baby girl, I finished it. This was very satisfying for me. Let's talk about the piece now, though. I absolutely love how this turned out. I'm so proud of myself because getting this pose was really hard. And I lost a lot of footage for this because I started drawing this originally on my computer, and I did not record. I did not record the process, and I wanted to be able to come back to this so I could see how much I ate down. But I could not because I did not record the process. So then I moved to Procreate because Procreate records things for you. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing this from now on. Never going to be recording. If I'm like recording anything, I'm probably not going to do it on my computer because I always forget to press record. But yeah, I love how this turned out. I really like drawing Itzy Sona's hair. Super difficult for me because the certain way that she draws bangs is kind of like against my very existence. But I'm really proud of how it turned out. The gloves especially, really satisfying to draw. The tugging and the pulling in the fabric. I wish I would have added more like horizontal lines as well rather than just diagonal. But I really liked how Itzy's dress turned out. And I always draw suits and like formal attire for my OCs anyway, so that was just like second nature to me. But for Itzy's dress, I wanted to include like her like, you know, the cutesy vibe. I love her so much. She's so cutesy. Also didn't mention that yes, I am drawing Persona. I already put her, you know, her tag up there. You should go follow her and attack her a bunch next year. Thanks. But yeah, I locked in. This is the attack that ruined my sleep schedule. I mentioned before that I chose art over sleep, and this is the attack that ruined my sleep schedule. Because Artfight ended at 12 p.m. my time. And I was nowhere near finished by 4 a.m. that morning. I was like, I'm gonna go to bed, I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna take a break, and I'm gonna wake up at 10, and I'm gonna get started again, and I think it'll only take me 2 hours to render this. Did not sleep. I tried to lay down, I couldn't sleep. So I got back up, and I was like, watch this. I finished, what was it, like 8? I finished it around 8, and I was like, oh my god, I made it. And I look at the time, and I'm like, yo, I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all. I was like so angry. I was so angry, but really, really, really happy because I got it done. And I wanted to end Artfight off with something kind of like, you know, celebratory. So I was like, hee hee hee, this is cute. It'll be like, it's like, you know, they're cutesy together. Demi and Itzy, like, oh my god. Like, they're going to like, you know, the Artfight roundup event. Like, I gave it a story. And that's what like pushed me to finish it because I'll always say this, I am a storyteller before I am an artist. I hate drawing. Hated quotations. But I love writing. But yeah, shading here, I was using one light source. It was probably like a, you know, like the show lights, the spotlights. I like imagined it in my head and I wanted to properly light Itzy's arm from her arm to her face. And all the way to like where Demi is as well. I wanted to give like the idea that there was a spotlight on them from a specific angle. And I think I did that well, especially with like the black background and like the faded out lights in the back. That was like what I was going for the whole vibe. And I love drawing Demi. I draw Demi like lickety split, but I also really wanted him to look as accurate as possible for this. So I kind of like traced over an image I'd already drawn of him. And I was like, yeah, this is cutesy, but then I modified it a little bit. So it's like, I'm really happy with how he turned out as well, especially his dreads. Also, I'm not going to say anything about how frustrating it was to render his suit because I wanted to give it like a kind of like holographic, like iridescent vibe, the same I did for the little parts in Itzy's dress. But doing that on black was not cool. So I didn't do it on black. I stopped. If anyone has any tips for rendering like reflecting light on black, please tell me because I was like struggling But yeah, I added the gold accents as per my character design choices. I love gold. I love chains. So I did my boy Dimmy up, gave him his little crown, gave Itzy her crown, and they were the king and queen of Artfight. And I really love how this turned out. This OC is Vidar, or Vidar. Don't exactly know how to pronounce his name, but I love him. And he is an OC drawn and crafted and created by the GOAT, my Gwirl, Sapling Studio. My mutuals know who they are. They know I love them. Don't need to say it to y'all. Unless you're my mutuals and you're watching this, then I love you. But let's get into the art because, gosh, I love this piece so much. I knew this was going to be a rendering challenge because the way Sapling Studios renders skin is probably the most delicious, scrumptious, nuanced thing I've ever witnessed. There's so many like purples and pinks underneath like the upper top of like kind of like a mauve color that is his natural skin tone. And trying to do that with my freaking pea brain was so difficult at first, but when I got the hang of it, I was like, oh, I absolutely love every moment of this. The way that this turned out, I was really proud of myself. And I was drawing this half asleep. Like, I was laying in my cousin's bed, like, dozing off. I'm like, I gotta finish this, man. I gotta finish it. I have to finish it. And I can't tell you how much I love how this turned out. I did it, like, maybe in, like, an hour and 30 minutes. But it's because I was zoned in. Sometimes when I get to a piece and I know that I want to draw this character, which I did, I really knew that I wanted to draw this character, I'm just like, I'm in there and I'm in it for real. So while I was drawing, I was like, so how can I like replicate the skin texture? Because like there's these like underneath colors, like these colors that pop up from over top that kind of like give like, you know, when you pinch yourself and you can see your blood, that's what it was kind of like giving for me. And I wanted to like properly portray that because I'd never seen anyone underpaint like that before. I'm yapping over even the time that I spent drawing this because I love how this turned out. I'm really proud of how it turned out. And I love this character. Sapling, my darling. Please, I need a comic. I need a comic or something. I really do. I need to be able to indulge in his character because look at this boy. Look at this man. But yeah, here's Vidar, my boy. Please correct me. Tell me how to pronounce it because I would love to properly pronounce his name because we're about to get married. Our wedding is in 4 days. He does not need to agree. All right, everybody. This is another Itzy moment. Staring at you from across the room, young lady. This is her girl, Serena, and my boy, Reggie. We immediately clicked on the idea that they would be really good friends because they both have similar interests. They both have a kind of like a similar vibe. And I wanted to draw them together since then. So I thought, what a better time to do it than Artfight. And I locked in. I really liked how this turned out. My only regret would probably be not adding a background. Adding a background, like a detailed one, like, you know, the stage, because the vibe is that they're at Coachella and Reggie performed at Coachella. I would have loved to draw the stage and the people in the background, but I was on a time crunch because I was only like 15 attacks in, maybe, I think, and I wanted to get 31 done. And by this point, it was this attack exactly that I realized I was not going to get 31 attacks done, dude. I was not going to do it. I was not going to do it. I had to have been drawing every day of the week, the month, I mean, for it to work out. Because I only got, like, the most attacks I did in one day was the 4 that I mentioned before for Sam. And that was it. That was it. I could not do that again. I was literally dying. I had things to do. I had other things going on in my life. Could not. I'm so sorry. I could not get the 31 attacks done. But this is something I could get done. And I did get done. And I I use absolutely a lot because, dude, absolutely. Look the word up. That's how I feel. I absolutely love this one. Like, I don't know, like, how to describe it, but there's an energy. And even without the background, they're at Coachella. You can't tell me they're not at Coachella. They are at Coachella. I really like the way I drew Reggie. I like how I kind of drew his like hair. He's growing out his hair a little bit more. So it's like kind of like it's giving like it's giving like Superman a little bit. And I really, like, when I was sitting down with myself, I was like, so how am I gonna draw Serena? Because look at her. She's a bombshell. If you mess this up, you are doing a disservice to bombshells everywhere. So I was like, okay, let me take a moment and think about a pose that would really, like, suit her form. Well, that would really, like, you know, get the curvature of her body just right. You know what I mean? So I saw a reference photo on Pinterest and I was like, okay, I could kind of go for something like that. So I was like, let me sketch this out. And I sketched it out. I was like, okay, this is working. And then I started getting down to the line art and I drew her face and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what I want. That's how I want to portray this character. So I did. And I really, like, I love how she turned out, especially. Like, Reggie's cool, Reggie's cute, whatever. But Serena is the star of the show. And she's stunning. She's stunning. Itzy, I'm talking to you directly, baby girl. I love her colors so much. I know I've probably told you this already. I love her colors so much. The brown of her skin with the greens and blues, they work so well together. Like, they're colors that shouldn't work because, like, they're kind of close. But it's just so tasty. It's so tasty how you blended them together by using them in ratios. I don't know if that's intentional or if you were just like, okay, this looks cool, I'm gonna go for it. But I love her. I love Serena. She's my favorite. Like, Alice is cute. Alice is cute or whatever. Hana is cute or whatever. But Serena, baby girl. Serena, baby girl. Marry me. Marry me. I spent a lot of time getting the colors just right. I know I color picked it, but Procreate kind of changes the shades sometimes. So I was like, let me make sure this is actually right. So I made sure it was actually right. You know, I wanted to make sure everything looked true to color. So I locked in. I really did that. I'm really proud of this one, mainly because of, like, the pose. Sometimes when I pose two characters together, they look, like, too far apart. I don't know if you have that problem as well, but, like, I'll pose two characters together, and then it'll look like they're not really in relation to one another. So I have to resize things and, like, fix them together. But this one, they were hugging for real. Like, he was holding on to that baby girl. If Reggie wasn't in a relationship, Itzy, you already know. You already know. Do y'all remember when they were shipping Megan Thee Stallion and DaBaby? That would be their relationship dynamic. Don't at me. But yeah, down to the line art, this piece was really, really something special for me. And it's not on my top 3 list because there's some fire pieces ahead, dude. Like, I put my backbone, my abdominal muscles, and my big toe in my top 3 pieces. And it didn't feel like performative. It didn't feel like, oh, I gotta get this done. I have to make sure this looks beautiful. I was really just in the zone for this one and my top 3. Like, I was just like, la la la, gonna finish. Dee-dee. And I think I finished this one on the phone with Itzy. And she was like, oh yeah, let me see which attack you posted. And she's like, what the freak? She was like, bruh. I was like, I didn't show you because I was attacking you, you know? This wasn't even like a revenge or anything. This is a separate attack that I just really wanted to do. So I'm glad she liked it. I'm glad it turned out so nice too. All right, so this next piece I was working on for a while, and every pose that I chose, every orientation that I did, I hated so much because I love this character design. This character design is by the user, my girl, the absolute legend, Blue Whales. Hey there, girl, what's good? This is Yadone Thunder. I absolutely, yet again, saying that word again, y'all gonna be tired of this word by the end of this video, love this character design. All of the character designs that I picked to draw, I loved. I had my eyes set on this character for a long time. In the beginning of Artfight, I was like, hit list, adding her to the hit list, gang, gang, gang. But what got me, yet again, this keeps happening within my my Artfight career. People who I was planning on attacking would attack me first. And it was like, stop doing that, please. I want to be the first hitter. Please let me do it. Not like I actually mad about that. I'm really grateful, but also my ego was suffering. My ego was suffering. I was like, no, how dare you? How dare you hit me before I got to hit you? But yeah, this is Yudon. Love her. Love the design. Love that she's a Wakfu OC. Loved Wakfu growing up. Had a really big crush on Percival. That's his name, right? It was like Percival or Percidal, something like that. Thought he was fine. And no hate, I thought he was even finer after he got brown. That's not like a dig or anything. It's just like his color palette was even cooler. He was in like the sun forever and he got brown. And I thought that was really funny. I was like, okay, pop off with the tan. But also, he just looked cool, like with the fire powers that he had, plus like with the browner skin. I love that character design. Like when they have like browner skin and they have fire powers, it just pleases my brain for some reason. But yeah, as I was saying before, I tried everything drawing this character, and it's because I didn't want to do her a disservice or a disjustice or a dis anything. I thought that this character design was so like delicious and tasty, like it was like video game ready in my opinion. Like she could be a protagonist in a video game, and I love that quality in a character design, and I wanted to give it like the vibe of like what I was seeing in my head, and I just could not put that on my canvas. For whatever reason, I tried drawing this character several times and I just couldn't get it right. But it was like the last day of Artfight, and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, and it needs to get done. This piece taught me how to shut the freak up and just draw. I put on Moon Knight for the 17th time of watching it, and I just drew. And that gave me the freedom to just get it out. I knew that regardless of what I pushed out, I would be appreciated because that's just the kind of person Blue Whales is. And I did it. I locked in, I got it done. And I'm actually really happy with how it turned out, despite me struggling the entire art fight to even get this character done. But yeah, I'm glad it looks this way. I'm glad it's beautiful. I'm glad she liked it. And I'm happy I got to finish it. Now, this piece was my first piece of Artfight. I finished it the day of, when it first started, and I had this character on the top of my list, for my hit list. I knew I was going to draw this guy, and I knew he was going to be my first attack. And I really am really proud of how this turned out. I got the right vibe that I wanted, I got the right pose I was going for. The whole thing just came together, and I was blessed to have finished a fully rendered piece in one day, because that is not something typically that I do. But Artfight taught me that I can fight smarter, not harder, but it can also look fire as well. So I've implemented a lot of the tasks and like the strategies that I use during Artfight to get pieces done faster into my regular drawing process, and let me tell you, I'm a speed demon now. I'm a speed demon. But yeah, this is Mallory Oswin. Let me tell you something. If this guy wasn't already crushing on someone, he'd be mine. He'd be mine. I know I told you that I would be mentioning another person again, and that is Clown Rat King. This is their OC. Love, love, love this guy. His backstory, his quirks, everything about this character was just giving me in another universe. Not him, not himself, but the way that he's designed. God. And the way that Clown Rat King articulates personality through character design. And I really wanted to make sure that I captured his aura, because this guy has aura. It's not like the typical, oh, I'm so scared, I'm so afraid. It's like, oh, you need help. You need help, and that's okay. We're gonna get you help. We're going to get you some help. But yeah, the worst part for me was maybe the anatomy of the photo, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Photo, girl, of the piece. I don't know why. I think it was from the torso to the lower body, because I started with the head. I was like, this isn't giving anatomically correct. But also, I didn't care, because this character is a lot more elongated than I normally draw my characters. So I had to throw that out of the window and like reconstruct his anatomy from underneath the clothes that I was going to draw on top. So I corrected all of the anatomy with the clothes that I put on top, and I was like, yeah, that works for me. And the entire time I'm just thinking, while I'm drawing this character, I'm also listening to like some really crazy synthwave while I'm drawing this character. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting into the mood. A lot of the time I would listen to music that reminded me of the character while I was drawing them, so I would stay focused solely on my art and not look at the TV for too long. So sometimes I would just turn my TV off and just draw with music. And that really helped me because I really got into character while drawing these people's characters. And I would think like in my head, like, so what's something that they would do for leisure and things like that. And that started especially with my first attack because there's just, dude, this character is so cool to me. I don't know why, but like he drew me in. I like did the random character select thing while I was developing my hit list, and I was like, oh, hold on. I paused really hard and I looked over a Clown Rat King's like the whole repertoire, and I was like, all of these characters are lit. All of these characters are fire. But this guy, the blondie right here with the green goopy juice, love this. Going to draw him. And so I did. And here we are. The finished piece that I really was like, oh, okay, I did that by the time I was finished. Got me really hyped to do more attacks. And I thought that was really fun. This next OC is Tino by the user Starry Vamp. And I love. You gonna hear me say it again. You gonna keep hearing me say it. I love this character design. And it's for multiple reasons. I loved her dreads. I loved how Starry Vamp kind of gave the people who were going to draw her the ability to change her hairstyle and add different accessories to her. And a lot of people did that, but with this character design and how her aesthetic is set up, I really wanted to stay true to, you know, how she's drawn, but also change some small things about what she was wearing. And I could not fathom how Starry Vamp's art style was able to capture smaller details without really blocking them out, if you know what I mean. Like the earrings and the necklace, like from the way that they draw, is just really impressive to me. I can't explain why, but like taking bigger shapes and turning them into smaller, like, you know, details is always something that I really love seeing. Like, take the muscle groups, for example. Like, you don't really think about your muscle groups in your arm when you're drawing the arm, but more so the shape of the arm. The way that Starry Vamp does details kind of reminds me of that. So I wanted to really capture that in a way that wasn't like, oh, I'm copying your art style. I really wanted to take my art style and just bring it up a notch to suit and match hers. And I think that I did that pretty well. Tino is super pretty. The pink lashes, very pleasing to the eyes. And I used to do this thing where all of my characters would have the colored eyelashes as their hair. So my OC August, he used to have orange lashes, but did not like how that looked on my current style. So I was like, no, never mind. And now I've kind of just opted in for adding like bits of the color within the lash when I do like fully rendered pieces of my characters. And like the pink lashes really reminded me of that. So I was like, oh, I need to. I saw the pink lashes and I was like, yeah, I've got to do it. I love it so much. It might have taken me back to my good old days, and I might actually be implementing those kind of like design elements into my own art now. So thank you, Starry Vamp, for the vibes. Thank you for the vibes. Thank you for the sauce. But yeah, I typically, when characters have like white hair, I always give them white lashes. That's a detail I love. When characters have white hair, I always give them white lashes. But for the different colored hair colors, like usually I don't really mess around with trying to change their lash color. But just because it looks so good on Tino, baby girl, I might have to go back to my roots. The pose was something I kind of like opted in for as I was doing the sketch. I was like, I know I'm going to draw her sitting, but like where and how? So I didn't decide on a where. I just decided on a how, because I liked the idea of like a little like ledge, but a background would have been too crazy for me personally, because I had like something to do literally like an hour after I did this. So I was like, do I have time to do a background? And am I going to make it look as pretty as I want to with the time that I do have? And I said, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. So I picked my battle. I drew the sitting down pose with a little like graffiti thing. And I really liked the weird like rat graffiti I did. That was really fun. And yeah, this was really good. I really liked how this one turned out, like a lot. Like I can't explain why I like this one so much, but I think it's because I kind of like simplified my style a little bit, and I kind of did this for a few of the other attacks as well. I simplified my style a little bit and kind of just focused more so on color and shape language rather than like, you know, detailed line work. So it really gave me the freedom to just enjoy the process and not really focus on, you know, anything in particular. But the hair, I was very particular about the hair, and that was going to look exactly how I wanted it to look, and it did, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. So this is what we have going on right here, and I really like it. Also, not sure if StoryVamp is going to be posting an Artfight recap, but they're here on YouTube, so go follow them because their art is spectacular. No Spider-Man. Let's move on. This piece, I've decided, is probably my favorite render job in a face I've done in like the past like 2 years probably, because of its subtlety. This character is Dolly by the user Crystalberry. Now when I tell you Crystalberry's art is a detailed masterpiece of whimsy, I mean it. I mean it. And Dolly is no exception to that high standard that I now hold. Love this character design. It's so cute. She's so cute. I love the lace detailing in the bodice of her top. I really wanted to capture that with the little flowers and everything, but I was not going to sit there and personally, me one, draw flowers in a lacy detail. So, did the next best thing, got my little handy dandy flower brush and got to work. Overall, this piece had me sit down and really question how I draw and render lighter skin tones, because I think it's my favorite thing ever. Now, don't get me wrong, I love me some brown people. I'm a brown girl. I'm a brown skin girl. But rendering fairer skin is so much fun because I really like using a specific pink shade to give shadow. And you can't do the same thing on brown skin. You gotta use like maybe like a deeper purpler color or like a bronzy red to get the same effect that you want. And like something about like from like the pink of her cheeks up into like the more wider area of like where you would probably like put concealer. Like I gave it like the concealer like bust down. Like I was really locked in when I was rendering her face, and I really liked, dude. I enjoyed this process. I think drawing her was the most fun I had, and that's probably because of a few factors. Factor one, I wasn't really thinking. I was kind of just like, oh, this is cute. Time to replicate that shape and do this and do that. I wasn't like focused on making it look perfect. And I think that's what made it look even prettier. Now, there's some things I might change, like her hands. I feel like they look a little strange now that I'm like looking at it back as I'm watching the speed paint. But it turned out tasteful. And I like how I added that extra element of some hands. I think that that was like really central to her character, like the character piece I saw of her. And I thought that it was important to include that because it seems like she's in some kind of turmoil or she's observing something she shouldn't be seeing. And that like mysterious contrast with her character design is what I really loved about her when I saw her character. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna draw Dolly. And draw Dolly we did. So here she is, a baddie. This OC is Cypher, a tall, beefy man created by the user Club Phil, who is also here on YouTube, and they have a YouTube channel. Check them out immediately. Club Phil has a very specific style, and that was really hard to capture. And I can explain why. It's because when I think about like really like specific styles, like, you know, like specific to the artist, like you couldn't confuse them for anyone else. Like the Demon Slayer art style, Todd McFarlane's work, and the current style that Nintendo is doing the Zelda games in. When I think about those kind of styles, I get really nervous about trying to replicate them because any like slight mess up in line work or shape language could make it into something totally different. And I feel like Club Phil style fits that description. It was really hard to keep myself from like entirely trying to replicate their style and also keep my style as well, because this was a piece that I wanted to be like really impactful, because the way that they drew my OC Reggie, remind you, I was already planning on absolutely attacking this character specifically. I wanted to attack Phil, and I wanted to attack this guy here, Cypher. But why was everyone this entire art fight like 10 steps ahead of me? They're like, oh yeah, okay, attack. They drew my OC Reggie, and like, oh my god, it's so good. And I was so mad because I was like, how am I gonna top that? How am I gonna come back with something that's even worthy of being seen after an attack like that? But I locked in, and I really got to the core of what I was trying to do, and that was portray emotion more so. So I wanted to give kind of like this like nonchalant vibe, and I wanted to focus more so on the eyes and nose, because that the character Cypher, his eyes and nose are really central to who he is. Like, just from looking at him, that's the first thing you think about. That's the first thing you notice, minus his hair. And his hair is probably actually the first thing you notice. Let me take that back. His hair is really cool and really cute, and I love the kind of like grayish black that it is, mixed with that like that bright neon green. And I love the way that this turned out, because I actually feel like I did him justice for real, and it kind of redeemed my pride from being squashed so early in the game. But yeah, here's Cypher. I love how this turned out, and this piece literally taught me to just shut up and draw, because regardless of what you're doing, if you like it and the person likes it, you succeeded. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Don't know if you've been waiting for my top 3, but I have. I'm about to bang on the table, so excuse me. I love how all of these turned out so much. So very much. Let's get into it. First up, we got a piece that was a bit of a pain for me. This was the piece that I did for Itzy, that I was working on, that she knew I was working on, in which she attacked me before I got to attack her. This is that piece. And man, do I love how this piece turned out. I've said that for all of my pieces. I've expressed my dear, devoted, dedicational love to all of the art pieces I did for Artfight. But let me tell you one thing that this piece has above every other piece that I worked on. There is a sense of deep care in this piece, and it just warms my heart every time I see it. I play around with her and say that I hate it because Demi's in it, because I have this running joke that I hate Demetrius to his grave. But I was really proud about how this turned out. And it's mostly because of the colors and the pose. When I found the reference that I did, and I used it for reference of like how I wanted to formulate the pose a little bit, I was kind of scared to do it because, as I mentioned before, sometimes when I draw two characters interacting, it doesn't look natural. But this right here, they're in love. You can't tell me they're not in love. You cannot tell me that they aren't a happy little couple and she's not giving him a little kissy on his nose. You can't tell me that, because it's true. It's a true fact. And I'm so happy with this so much. Like, I love how this turned out. I'm gonna just keep saying it. But let's get into a little bit of technicality real quick. So, first off, I started off with a few different ideas. It was either going to be a closer up little, mwah, kissy cheek kiss. And I was gonna be like, yeah, this is so cute. This is so sweet. This is, something I'm just gonna do really fast and get out, because I kinda just wanted to attack Itzy. Shame on me. Shame on me, I know. But then I sat with myself. I was like, Itsy Bitsy deserves the time and dedication. And so I gave her the time and dedication. I started this piece way in the beginning. It was around supposed to be my 6th piece. I think it was knocked down to being my 12th or something because of like how much time I spent really focusing on the pose. The pose is where I felt like I spent most of my time, because I wanted them to look like they were genuinely interacting, and that was something I was not going to compromise. So I spent a lot of time trying to perfect the anatomy. Like, I'm not the best when it comes to anatomy, but I know dang well that I've come very far. You asked me 2 years ago to do this pose, I'm telling you no. You asked me 1 year ago to do this pose, I'm hesitating and then not even going to wind up doing it. You ask me today to draw this pose again, I will, with my eyes closed and my hands tied behind my back. I'll just draw it with my brain real quick, give you guys a little bit of telepathy real quick with a woo. But yeah, I didn't realize how simple this was for me. until I was like, oh, I'm done with the main pose. I'm done with the base pose. And I really like it. I've been studying anatomy seriously for like, let's say 2 years. But I like actually started taking art seriously when I was like 13. So I've been drawing for a while. And when I tell you, it's taken me a really long time to get to this point where I'm like, oh yeah, let me just draw a guy doing a backflip, or let me just draw somebody doing the splits, and not being afraid to compromise my creativity for anatomical correctness, because you can have both. And this piece told me that I could have both, because I love it so very, 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 very much. And I can't express to you how much I really put myself into this piece. I was like, this is going to be good. And it's going to have to be good, because not only is it for my girl, my little bestie, my little schnookums, it's also a representative of something I'm really passionate about, and that is human connection. I'm not gonna get all, and then humanity is this and that, and it's just so beautiful, but I think when I'm drawing intimacy, pause. The biggest pause in the room. I mean emotional intimacy, okay? Pause. Where did you go? When I'm drawing intimacy, I want to properly portray what it's like to have that vulnerability, you know what I mean, with someone else. And I think that this piece did that for me. I absolutely love how Itzy's outfit turned out. I thought that was really cute. Why is somebody freaking texting me? Oh, it's Itzy! You back, BBG? Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you. One second, y'all. As far as I'm concerned in this piece, Demi is Itzy's man. Period. Across the board. That's her man. And you can't tell me otherwise. That's what I was going for. I wanted to give the vibe that this was something natural. This was just what it do and what it be. Because in my head sometimes, I'm like, where's Renee? If you don't know, I have a comic that's coming out soon-ish. And Renee is Demi's love interest within the comic. But not in this picture. And sometimes I'll be twitching. I'm like, where's Renee? Where's Renee? But yeah, I completely separated that she even existed because it turned out so well. I just I really like how I colored the line art. It gave me full reign to color it how I wanted. And getting skin tones right is something really important in my artistic process. I want to get everything as color accurate as possible, and I'm really fussy about colors. I've mentioned this before on my channel. I'm super fussy about colors. So it causes me to take longer to color than render. I can render lickety split like that. It'll happen. Bing, bang, boom. But coloring, laying down the base for the rendering is way more difficult, because if I don't get it right during that, the rendering is screwed. The rendering is screwed. There is no saving the rendering at that point. But yeah, this is the piece. This is the finito piece. Love it, live it, breathe it, twerk on it. I'm just kidding. I would never. I would never. Okay, so I'm gonna be frank here. I drew this character because I am a simp. This is Rorik, an absolute legend. Believe he's known as the Phoenix King, as coined by the lovely, the amazing, the user, and creator of this character, Sapling Studios. I attacked her twice, I believe. And within those 2 attacks, I put my back, my leg, my big toe, my little toe, I put my whole foot into each attack. Not just because we're mutuals, but because her character designs deserve the attention that they deserve. Period. They deserve attention, period. I want you to look at this man and tell me he's not fine. You can't tell me this man is not fine. And again, Sapling does this thing where she kind of underpaints and creates different discolorations and blotches within a skin tone to give it life. And I wanted to capture that with this character as well, because it's really subtle. He has a dimmer, grayer tone in certain areas of his face. And doing that was probably so hard. I can't even ask my past self because I can't go back in time. But I know I was stressing when I was doing the coloring part for this. And it shows in how good it turned out. Like when I'm stressing about a piece, it's either garbage and I'm never going to show anyone ever, or it's like one of my most proudest moments. And this piece is one of my most proudest moments in my art career. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even lying. My number one proud moment was when I finally drew a hand and it didn't look like chickens. Like, you know, those little, those Thanksgiving turkey hand drawings that, you know, we used to do to turn into like little turkeys. When my hands didn't look like that anymore, I knew I was moving up. But this has set the standard for my lighting, my rendering, and my line work. I wanted to make sure that this man was as fine here as he was on his reference sheet. And you can't tell me that I did not succeed. Because if I didn't, you would not be seeing this piece. Amen? Amen. So, this is Rorik. Love this guy. He supposedly has 4 wives. None of them have been concepted yet from what Sapling told me. So I want to be one of them. Sapling, if you're seeing this right now, my dear, can I be one of his wives? Please, please. I'm actually just kidding. You do not have to make me one of his wives, but I'll just dream about being married to this absolute Adonis. This was the piece I spent the most time on. And that is attributed to a few factors. The pose. Getting that bend. Men have very strange trunks. Their torsos are very flat in a way. They're boxes, of course, but the surface is like super strange in that when you bend it, abdominal muscles, when they're prominent, they kind of squish inward like little pillows. So I wanted to give that vibe that he was sitting, but like not really like sitting entirely. You know when you lean back in a chair? That's the vibe I have for him. That's the pose I have him in. So I wanted to get that just right. I wanted to get his build proper. I wanted to accentuate the vibe that he's like this really confident, kind of like cocky guy, which he is. I really highly recommend that you go check out his Artfight profile little thing, because you can read more about him. He's cool. I love him. He's giving like Ganondorf. And if you know me, IRL and online, I make it painfully clear that Ganondorf is one of my favorite villains of all time. From young, absolutely love the confident, oh, I got this in a bag vibe from a guy. And, you know, it kind of just eats down on this character as well. He's really cool. Gonna keep saying that because it's true. And it reads in his character design the way that you kind of gave him like this like Midas vibe, Sapling. Love that. I love when character, like their interactions with people, their personalities are reflective in their character design. I've seen too many people talk about this idea and then not execute it. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be like, really afraid of the dark and everything. He's supposed to be like afraid of bugs. So like, yeah. And I have hope in the future of character design simply because of the way that you go about designing your characters. Not only are they pretty and nice to look at, they feel like they suit the world that they're built for, and they're really intentional. So, props to you. Kudos to you. Now, the hair. The way that Rorik's hair is drawn in his reference sheet was really, really delicious to me. Like the way that the purplish gray kind of fades off into the brownish reds of his hair was something I wanted to get just right. I wanted to do it exactly the way that it looked in the reference sheet and add like the lowlights and the highlights and the shine. Like he's giving luxurious king who doesn't need to raise his fist in rage, but also can. And I love that. I love the gold detailing. I love the battle scars. It shows like it's reflective of his character. It shows that I live in luxury now, but don't test me because you will get slumped. Like Ambessa from Arcane. Oh my God, connection made. He reminds me of her. High key, bruh. And I love her, dude. I love her so much. No wonder. Tuck's hair behind ear. No wonder. I cannot get over the rendering job I did because it's something I've never been comfortable with doing, and that's like kind of keeping the smudgy, like more like weathered looks of the like rendering of my rendering process. Because sometimes I'll blur things out a little bit too much and I'll lose the harsh line that I actually intended to have to define muscle. And I left that this time because it did what it was supposed to do. It defined his muscles, especially in his arm. It kind of made me want to just like completely delete where I had drawn the lines for like his muscles, but I kept them because it made it read better. So I did a mix of, like having like the defined rendering that gave his arm shape and also just having the lines that concretely defined that, yeah, this is that muscle. Now, for the background, let me tell you something. Like most character artists, I don't typically draw backgrounds. I don't typically like drawing backgrounds, but I knew for this piece I wanted to really do my version of going all out, and that was including everything like character design. Check 1. Foreground, middle ground, background. Check 2. The rendering had to be on point. Check 3. And lighting. Lighting was something I was going to do no matter what, and I was going to do it well. I think I'm mostly proud of the lighting because lighting a character from like behind for me has always been something that's really difficult. And I think it's because I'm trying to see how everything would mix together and how blurred it would be, how harsh lines would be, and that was stopping me from just starting. So I was like, draw the background, then have the background affect the foreground where your character is. And I was like, oh, that's pretty smart, That's pretty genius. So I did that. I met that. I touched that. And I was like, oh, this is peak. 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 The pillows, I really loved drawing them for some reason. And the colors, everything is giving like Desert King. And yet again, that might be my Ganondorf bias that I kind of blended those things together. But I think it works for him and his character design and just like who he is as a character. I'm rich and I'm hot and I've got 4 baddies and you can't tell me nothing. And that's just really the core of this piece. I wanted to capture his character in a snapshot. I wanted you to blink, open your eyes, see this guy, blink again, and you get exactly what you're supposed to get just from this one picture. And I hope that read properly. And I hope Sapling really, really liked this piece because I wanted to do him justice because like from head to toe, absolutely stunning. But yeah, this is Rorik. This is the Snackalicious Man. And this is what we have. And this is why this is one of my favorite pieces. Now, this piece is probably a very odd culmination to a lot of the techniques that I learned during Artfight. I wanted to do something really nice for like my last character piece. This isn't my last piece, but this is the last piece that I included multiple characters in. And I wanted to get this like just right. I was really focusing on the pose here, the poses. This piece is of 3 of Itzy's characters. Itsy Bitsy, that girl. And you might be saying, you already did a piece of Itzy's that wound up being your top 3. I want you to be quiet, I want you to close your mouth, and I want you to listen. That's not because I love Itzy and I wanted to draw her characters multiple times, but it's because I wound up really pushing myself with a lot of the pieces that I was doing later on. I was like, what's next? Like, what can I do? I came off of the high of drawing, which piece was it? I think it was, dang it, which piece was it? Oh yeah, I came off of the high of drawing Vidar and Cypher back to back, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna push myself a little bit more for this one. And it just so happened to be the revenge that I wanted to get on Itzy was my next planned attack. So I was like, okay, so what can I do that would be really lit, that would be really cool, really cutesy? I'm going to include all 3 of her main girls. So let me explain. Itzy is like, really cool. She's concepting this comic that she may or may not actually do. And I love how she always mentions that to me because it's like, girl, don't get your hopes up. I might not even actually draw this comic to its fruition, to its fullest, but I don't care. I'm dedicated to these characters and I love them. So the main girl is Alice. She's so cutesy and so sweet. She just wants the perfect guy, and her type changes like with like every entry of the comic. And her little butler man, Scallion, or Scallion, as I like to say, behind Itzy's back, but I know she's gonna watch this, so now she knows I call him Scallion, is consistently like changing himself to suit her type for the week. I believe it's the week. I can't remember, but just whenever her type changes, he changes too, because he's madly in love with her, and she's so stupid, and that's intentional. She's supposed to be a little ditzy, but like, she's really cute also. It's more so like, you know, the innocent like bimbo trope, but like done tastefully, done with class. Okay, let me tell you, Itzy is plenty of things, but not classy is not one of them. Thank you very much. But yeah, in her permissions, she said you can change their outfits. So I said, okay, don't play with me. I will be putting them in something cutesy. So I wanted to do the three girls together, kind of like doing something that you probably wouldn't see them do in like a regular day-to-day episode. So I was like, just coming off of watching K-pop Demon Hunters for the first time, and I was like, oh yeah, we finna make like a Huntrix reference with this art piece. And I chose a pose that was kind of like closer in proximity, because again, I was testing my ability to draw characters looking like they're interacting, but they actually look like they're interacting. And I was like, oh yeah, I like this already. I was doing I started off with Alice, like detailing her first, and then I went to Serena, and then I went to Hane. But when I got to Serena, I was like, this looks a little bit off. So I started adjusting like the way her head was formed, formed. Good God, that sounds like I'm like molding her like clay. Like the way her head was like shaped. And I wanted to make sure that it was all like in terms of size, like relation to one another, perfect. I wanted to make sure that it looked right, because I was not about to finagle with it afterwards with the liquify tool, because I don't like Procreate's liquify tool. I used Clip Studio Paint once in my life, and I was like, the liquify tool's kind of fire. And so now that's my freaking standard for liquify tools. But Clip Studio Paint is monies, and I'll buy it when I can buy it. So we're using Procreate for now. But back to the art process. Because of the characters' conflicting personalities and how they still wind up working together despite having very drastically different personalities, I wanted to give them like a sense of unity in the pose. So I found some reference for like what kind of like girl groups, and I was like, oh, Hexia, I love this. Let me really like try and like replicate that. I spent such a long time trying to get the poses just right, and yet again, this is another one that I started on my computer because I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sketch it out real quick, and then I'm gonna go do what I have to do later, you know, and then I'll come back and I'll finish drawing it. Did not record any of that because I'm stupid, but I did get the detailing of the poses right and everything, so I was happy with that. I was like, I don't care about the progress. I just want to be able to look back on this piece and be proud of it. So that's what I did. I locked in so hard because I think this was like, I did like 3 attacks in one night, aside from the 4 attacks that I did in one night the first time, and it was this piece, some other pieces too, and then the last piece that I did for Itzy. And I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna get it all done in like 2 days. I think this was like, yeah, this was like a 2-day project, and I was like, dude, this is actually terrible, but I did get it done because you can see it and it's posted on Artfight, so let's go. But yeah, for the clothes, I kind of wanted to give like casual girl group look, but also like early 2000s Y2K fashion a little bit. Like I was going for like what the Valley girls would have been wearing in like 2005. And for Hane, I went for something a little bit more like, you know, spicy, because her disposition in this photo was just really funny, and I thought that her having like high heels on while reading a book was just really funny to me. I don't know why I thought that was just so satisfying, but you know, she's on stage and she's reading a book, and who's gonna tell her anything? Nobody's going to tell her anything because she's just that girl. I did a little less rendering on this piece because the piece before this one, I had done a nice amount of like rendering for it, and I was like, maybe I can get away with doing the same rendering technique that I did on the piece before on this one, because I was going to use some pretty crazy lighting, as you'll see, and I was going to give this like a vibe. I wanted to give it like a specific kind of energy. And I didn't want to focus my time and my energy on something that wasn't really going to be seen underneath all of the overlay and ad layers. So I rendered a little bit less, but I did give the flat colors shape and form by highlighting and lowlighting everything. Now the background I played with for a while, and I played with the background for a while because I wanted to really test every limit of what possible background I could have done. But I really liked the idea of them being on a stage, so I stuck with that concept. I just was like, what kind of stage is it? Are there the big lights that are coming down on them? Is it the smaller ones? Like, what am I going for? So I looked up a few reference images, I looked at them for a really long time, and I thought what kind of colors might be coming out of the lights and everything, and I really focused on making it look coherent. Like, the foreground, middle ground, and background all made sense together, and that was really important to me. And I'm glad that it turned out like that. And this piece is on the favorites list because it knocked off like a few of my like top fears when it comes to drawing, and that's lighting, poses, and like composition. I love the way I composed this piece. It's not too far to the left, it's not too far to the right, and I really wanted the characters to be center stage, no pun intended, because they're on a stage and I wanted them to be at the center of it. But yeah, just overall, this one has the strongest vibe for me. It has the strongest energy. It's really between the Rorik piece and this one with all three girls because of just like, I don't know, it's something, there's like synergy in the air that floats through the air when I look at these pieces, and I'm really proud of how they turned out. And girl, Artfight was so fun. Let's just say that, period. Artfight was so much fun, and it taught me so much. But this piece right here, I can't say it's my top favorite number one, because it really like literally changes every day between my top three. But right now, I will say that this is my favorite piece. As recording of this video, if you ask me right now, yes, this is my favorite piece that I did for Artfight. And really, like, this was amazing, dude. Like, Artfight was so fun. I'm coming back. I'm spinning the block. But yeah, here's Alice, Serena, and Hane. And if you really like the ideas and the concepts that I talked about for Itzy's comic, please go check out her Artfight account so you can look at all of her characters and how they're in relation to one another. And, you know, follow her. Follow Itzy on all of the platforms that she's on. Please do. Everyone that I mentioned, if you like their art, go follow them. It's for free. You don't have to pay nothing. You do not have to pay for nothing.
Know that